Hello and welcome back to the Simple Politics podcast. I'm Diane Daniels, and each week I'm joined by Simple Politics founder Tatton to talk about the week in politics in the simplest possible way we can. No big words, nothing you're not going to be able to follow. Isn't that right, Tatton?
Yes, it is. There you go.
Woohoo! Brilliant. I was actually trying to think of something really articulate to say that would sound really learned, but
Oh,
I just
Diane,
haven't got
Diane,
it.
Diane, listen.
Yeah.
Our regular listeners know not to expect anything articulate from either of us,
Yeah.
and new listeners
Yes.
shouldn't be sucked in with the promise of
Mhm. Mhm.
articulacy, who knows, and then be sorely disappointed as they go deeper into the podcast and we
Yeah.
try and talk about complex things.
Yes.
So just being clear from the outset that this is your basic chat.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't love a basic chat? Who doesn't?
Apparently, just looking up your listenership figures, almost all the country.
Well, I tell you who does love it. The beautiful people of Patreon.
Oh,
Because
that's so smooth.
yeah, I know. They do support us all the time.
Oh, we love. Yeah, I mean, we love our Patreon people. We have a lovely Patreon community. You can join. You can join our community there, and hang out with us and chat to us, and yeah, and also, crucially, make the podcast happen.
Mm.
I say every single week. That we don't make any money from the podcast, as in Diane and I. We do it because we love it. We do it because it's I hate to say this because it really demeans my life, but it's one of the highlights of my week. Um, can you imagine how terrible my week is? But recording this is genuinely one of the highlights of my week, and therefore I'm happy to do it
Yeah.
for free, to not get paid.
Yeah.
I can't believe Diane doesn't get paid, but there you go. But the people that do get paid are the people that edit it and cut it up and
Mm.
host it and do all that kind of thing, and that's where the Patreon money goes.
Yeah.
We we're doing a lot of chatting in September.
Mm.
If we're gonna be able to keep doing things, we've got times are tough, money is tough.
Yeah.
It does take a long time doing this podcast. It takes. I mean, Diane has to write all the scripts and then do all the therapy after me. But listen, if you can join our Patreon, join our Patreon. Also, here's another reason to join our Patreon. I'm getting married. Like when if they come out, this comes out on Friday. I'm getting
Friday.
married tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm getting married. Unless you're listening to it late, which is like, why are you doing that? In which case, I'm already married.
Hooray.
Um, yeah. So I don't know. Join Patreon because of that. That's a terrible reason to
As a
join
wedding
Patreon
gift,
as a wedding
as a
gift.
wedding gift for the man who has everything to join Patreon.
Oh yeah, but you give it as like for a friend, like, but also on my wedding day. You
Perfect.
see, that's how
Mhm.
it should work. Also, just to let you know, I'm having two bites at this particular wedding thing because this is our legal wedding, and then we're going to go out to Italy and have a big party later on. So I will be asking you to join Patreon for a
Again.
second time which is yeah.
Yeah.
So I should think these things through. This is why Diane writes the scripts and I just chat. Anyway, please do www.patreon.com/simple politics and you can keep this beast on the road.
Hurrah. Okay, let's move on to the top posts of the week. Let's have a look at what has been really getting people talking this week. It has been a busy week. It's been such a busy week in news. So these might be quite surprising. Let's find out what's in at 3.
In at 3 is the only story that I can see anywhere right now.
Mm.
The government's welfare reforms, which The most controversial elements of which are the changes to the PIP criteria,
Hmm.
where it's much, 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 much harder to qualify for PIP, and the part of the universal credit that you get if you can't work. So universal credit is generally the health extra bit, which has a name I can't remember,
Yeah.
of universal credit as people who are not in work, and PIP, you can be in work and
Yes.
have PIP. And the point of PIP is that it understands that life is more expensive if you have disabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, for equal opportunities reasons, they pay you some money to help with that. Um, that's been deeply unpopular since it was announced. And it was announced in February, maybe early March, that kind of time.
Mm.
It's been deeply unpopular since then. We've had local elections since then when everyone on the doorstep was talking about winter fuel and PIP, and Labour really got the message that this is not popular.
Mm.
And there have been talk about rebellions on this for a while. But next Tuesday is the actual vote, which focuses people's minds. And we've now got over 120 MPs whose name is on a list who are going to vote against this bill, which is huge because that's enough MPs to defeat the government. It probably won't bring the government down. I mean, votes like this have brought governments down before, but
Mm.
this government is new and fresh and whatever, so it won't do that. Keir Starmer's job is not really on the line here. But there have been lots of posts about this because it's really clear what's going to happen. One of three things is going to happen.
Okay.
Thing number one
Hmm.
is that they will modify the bill a little bit to try to bring MPs back on side.
Okay.
Now, that's going to be really hard to do without completely getting rid of the PIP and universal credit top up sections.
Hmm.
So they're talking about maybe reducing it from a 4 to a 3 on this scale that you've got to get, or whatever. But if you're going to save money on PIP,
Hmm.
you can't reduce that too much because otherwise you're not reforming anything at all.
Yeah.
The second thing that could happen is that they pull the bill completely and say, we're going to come back in the next session, the next parliamentary year, with another version that is softer, that doesn't change those things, but still has other welfare reforms in it.
Hmm.
And the third thing that can happen is they just duke it out
Hmm.
and say, do you really want this government to be defeated?
Hmm.
Right, we will listen to you. We will make amendments in committee stage. We will do this. We will do that. But fundamentally, you are Labour MPs. You've been voted in as a Labour MP. Get through the eye lobby. Vote with us on this, or you will be kicked out the party. Go the real hard line. So what? One of those three things has to happen.
Hmm.
I don't know which it's going to be.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to talk more about voting and how that all works in a bit. So I will push you on what one of those three you think are going to happen. So get thinking. Okay. In at two. Oh, this is a big post. Okay. In at two. The government said that the group Palestine Action is going to be banned under anti-terror laws. So you may remember we posted on this as well a week or so ago. Two people broke into RAF Bryson Wharton from part of this group on electric scooters. Were able to get right up close to some jets with red paint, spray some red paint on the jets, and apparently that's done a significant amount of money damage to those jets. Now, okay, this has kind of opened up a huge debate around protest, terrorism, where the line is. It's really, really fascinating because not everyone agrees with the government's move here to ban this group. And the fact is that if what they did, if they, if what they pulled wasn't on an RAF base, would we be talking about this group being banned? Probably not. No, no. It's because it was an RAF base, right? It's because it's the military. It's because it's, of all of that, those connotations.
Or my house.
Okay.
I'd consider it terrorism if they'd done it on my house.
Okay. Right, hold that thought.
Okay.
Okay, hold that thought. Now, several MPs, and I'm not just talking Labour, I'm talking the Greens, I'm talking some independents, I'm talking some Plaid Cymru, I'm talking lots of MPs have said, this is not the way to go. This is a non-violent group. Yes, there's damage to property, but this, they're not hurting people. And
Mm,
what they're protesting about is, you know, appalling war crimes going on in Gaza. So when when you look at that, lots of MPs have voiced their support for the group, and that's that. Then you've got a percentage of other MPs who have come out, and again, not just the government, but you've got some on the Conservative benches who've said we've got to draw a line in the sand. We can't allow people to do damage. That's several have said that, but it really is quite unprecedented. And I'm thinking here, like I always think back to the climate ones and Extinction Rebellion and those guys being on
mhm,
Rishi Sunak's house.
mhm.
Do you remember? Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not all that long ago, a huge amounts of damage to infrastructure in the country. Um, that they did as part of their protesting. Um, Yet they weren't banned under anti-terror
I mean,
laws.
Fathers for Justice, going back when they
Mm.
used to dress up as superheroes and
Steel
disrupt all kinds of
buildings.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like like this weekend it's Glastonbury, and one of the things about Glastonbury this year is that Kneecap are playing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Kneecap, who started life as a kind of comedy rap trio, like they've gone from this kind of Goldie looking chain kind of silliness to political figures that who matter to people in parliament, matter to their supporters. And they like because they said up Hamas. Oh, excuse me. They allegedly said up Hamas and up Hezbollah, who are two prescribed groups. Hamas and Hezbollah are prescribed groups because they're horrid, right? They do horrid things. Even the most ardent pro Palestine campaigner would surely say that what happened October the 7th was a horrible thing, was just awful, awful, awful. So now we've got Hamas as a prescribed group and Palestine Action on their e-scooters with some paint.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't be more separate.
No. Mm.
And I don't a Labour government
Mm. Mm.
using anti-terror laws,
Mm.
because there's other laws, they've definitely trespassed, they've definitely, caused criminal damage, they've definitely, there's other laws when it's about the military, like there's other laws
Mm.
to prescribe Palestine action.
Mm.
I just don't get it.
Mm. And I think it's also, as happens sometimes, the unintentional consequence of this is their profile has been exponentially raised. They have probably gained hundreds of thousands of supporters this week.
Oh, I mean, Glastonbury will be
Yeah,
one big monument to Palestine
yeah,
action, and they're not prescribed yet. They're going to be prescribed next week. So supporters are free to voice their support for them
yeah,
this weekend at Glastonbury weekend, broadcast across the world to millions and millions and millions of people.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that's suboptimal. And yeah, I mean, Kneecap's gig. I don't know. There's now a bit of controversy about the BBC, who BBC will stream everything from
yeah,
Glastonbury because it's a big TV festival as well as a live attended festival. Will they stream the Kneecap set?
yeah,
Is the new question, because they are going to play at Glastonbury, but will the BBC conveniently lose its cameras around that stage for 45 minutes?
mm,
But if I would imagine their set will include quite a few references to Palestine action.
mm, absolutely. And we were watching Politics Live yesterday, and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy was asked that, wasn't she? She was asked what she wanted to happen.
Yeah, she was.
Um, uh,
I mean,
yeah, and
like,
no, sorry, Tal. And When she was asked what she wanted to happen, she obviously said, It's not for me to say, it'd
Yeah.
be a dangerous road to go down, but I don't want it to happen." That's what she said.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I mean, it's really difficult for the BBC because the BBC had to pull that documentary. I mean, like, there's a debate was whether they should do because there's someone from Hamas was involved in making a documentary in Palestine, all this stuff. So, I mean, it is controversial. But I used to, for 10 years, I went to every single Glastonbury. It's a big part of my life.
Mm.
One of the things that's changed since then is the headliners, the kind of headliners you
Yes.
get.
Yeah.
So in the olden days, all the headliners would have spoken about Palestine Action.
Mm.
But Olivia Rodrigo, I don't know how much she's going to go down the pro Palestine Action route. She will just do the set that she did the day before in wherever. Like it won't be. There won't be those calls. Neil Young, probably not. It's just
Mm.
I mean, it's the point is made. Glastonbury is going to be very full of Palestine Action, and
Mm.
yeah, the unintended consequences. Like there are people who are quite rightly furious with the state, the absolute state of what's going on in Gaza,
Mm.
and will continue to protest in any way they can.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And especially because our armed forces are those F-35 parts, we are complicit. We are fundamentally complicit. So people are going to take action.
Yeah.
Let's not call them terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah. And at one, Tatton, back to you.
One is sister dying.
Mm.
I said on last week's podcast, or maybe the week before, that I had surprising myself come
Mm.
out against the bill, even though I always thought I was for it. And the bill's now passed very, very narrowly. 5, 6 MPs voted the other way. It would have gone the other way. So it was really, really, really close. But the Commons has now passed it.
Mhm.
And it's almost unprecedented for a Commons, especially in the first year of Parliament, for a Commons vote to pass it and then it not to end up becoming law.
Yeah.
The House of Lords will have something to say
Yeah.
about a sister dying. You better believe they're going to have something to say. They're going to put in amendments that they think makes it safer.
Mm.
So it will come back to the Commons after the summer, probably in September, I'd imagine. It's going to come back to the Commons and they will have more votes on it, but they will not have any more votes on whether the whole
Whole
thing
thing.
passes or the
Yeah.
whole thing. They will only have votes on tinkering with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Lords won't feel that they have the impetus to stop it altogether.
Mm.
So they'll let it pass its second reading, and they'll let it pass its reports, its third reading. So it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to become law by 2030, probably.
Mm. Yeah. Big implementation period, which is at least a comfort for getting the safeguarding in place. But yeah, definitely happening.
It's worth adding that Wes Streeting says there's no money in the NHS to do it.
Yes.
So that complicates, that muddies the water somewhat
Mm.
as to whether it happens. Or more importantly, whether it happens for everybody.
Mm.
Because that's one of the big things about this bill is that if you've got enough money, you can go to Dignitas right now.
Mm.
And this is an equal opportunities issue.
Yeah.
And if the NHS can't do it, and so you still have to pay for the thing, it's suboptimal.
Tricky. Okay, right. That was top post of the week. Let's move on to the mailbag. You haven't disappointed. We've had so many questions this week. Now, I'll just give a bit of context around this first question. It's from Corey's Little Loves. We saw some headlines this week talking about defence spending and a document that says the UK needs to be ready if there was a war here. Okay. And someone DM'd us really, really anxious by what they'd seen in some headlines, like hugely, and going, is this true? And then Tam wrote a post going, like we had a little Google. Oh my goodness, look at what's out there. How this is just absolutely gone. OTT, and everybody's sort of making out that it was almost like Keir Starmer was going to announce we were at war yesterday. That's what
Mm.
the headlines were pitching at. So, needless to say, we got a lot of questions about is are we okay? Are we going to go to war, etc., etc. But I thought this one was really interesting. So, Corey's little loves asked if so big if there was a war, what's the likelihood of us ever having a drafting system, a kind of conscription system again?
0.
That ship has sailed. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we're going to need that bigger. I used to think the fight is like street fighting, like pitched battles, like Waterloo, or battles for cities, like you had in the in Second World War. I thought they were done, but then you see in it, not in Italy, you see in Ukraine,
Mm,
that it's happening. Like they're still
mm,
there is in Mariupol
mm,
on the streets fighting house by house, street by street, and you do need a lot of troops for that stuff. But generally, the way that we, England, United Kingdom, will be battling is going to be planes and drones and submarines, and that kind of thing, and also police and secret people, because the way what they were talking about is what war looks like for the UK is assassinations and terror and blowing stuff up and other and cyber attacks
cyber,
and
yes,
that
cyber's
kind of
big.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how if Iran wants to go to war with us, which they can't possibly do because they don't have the resources, but if they wanted to go to war with us, those are the things mostly that would happen. And just drafting loads of people into the army or armed forces isn't going to help with that.
Mm.
Um,
Also, do
I
you
mean,
think there's just a thing about that that people wouldn't do it these days? I don't know. I just I feel like the world has moved on from when you could enforce that kind. I know it happens. I know it happens in Russia. I know it happens in other
mm,
places, but I just don't feel like it would happen in the UK. I don't know. Interesting.
yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it is interesting. Like it seems I'm 44, so I could still be drafted. I think just about. What would they want with me? I mean, if they want, I could, I could happily be part of the sitting in the corner and crying regiment,
Mm,
if that's what they needed,
mm.
or I could make something jolly on
Yes.
Canva
Yes,
to put
please.
out to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But
like,
yeah, I would say, like, genuinely, this week, do not, like, take more than ever, take the headlines that you see with a pinch of salt, you know? Um, it we're not in imminent danger. That's not playing down the fact that the world is a scary place. It is, but
but you see, we've seen it like in the Telegraph yesterday. They had both these stories, and the Telegraph had a headline saying, we're all going to die because of this war, and then they had, but they also then had a really big picture of a lady not wearing very many clothes to try and talk about kneecap because it's Glastonbury. So they've gone war and sex, or like on the same homepage, which we know those are the two things people click through, right? War and sex. And for some reason, we're really the mainstream media, for a term that I don't like very much, have really gone to town on war and sex in the last week or two. Seems like more than normal, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
yeah. Okay. Excellent. Right, next question. T4Na asks, why is Labour shifting to the right?
I mean, if you look at Tony Blair's government,
Mhm. Mhm.
that was deliberately centrist.
Yes, yeah.
He loved a bit of the old private sector
He did.
in there. Um, but he introduced the minimum wage, for example. So
Mm,
we saw private sector coming in and the minimum wage, and then some regrettable foreign policy. And then you fast forward to what we're doing now. We are reversing some of those things. We're nationalising the trains. We're making
mm,
great British energy. We are again upping the minimum wage. So these are all left wing things to do,
mhm,
right? These are left wing things to do. You know, getting inheritance tax from the wealthiest, trying to close inheritance tax loopholes,
mhm.
not giving.
Yeah,
What's that?
I said the private school VAT thing.
Private school VAT,
Yeah,
not giving winter fuel allowance to the king, like all of these things,
yeah.
and he still won't have it. Even though they've U-turned on a lot of the universal credit, they're still stopping the richest.
Mm,
Joanna Lumley, she ain't gonna get it, right?
yeah.
Um, these are left-wing things to do.
Mm,
Oh, free school meals,
mm,
more free school meals, breakfast clubs. There's left-wing things to do, and you look at the other stuff they've done, which is, like PIP. We've spoken about PIP already today.
not
Th-
reinstating not getting rid of the two-child benefit cap.
Not getting rid of it's got to be coming, but
Mm,
not getting rid of the two-child benefit cap. And still, I mean, they love the private sector.
yeah.
Oh, they love the private sector a lot. Lots of trade deals with some,
Mhm, mhm,
with other countries, which I don't think Jeremy Corbyn would have made.
mhm.
All those deals would be different under a Jeremy Corbyn government. Um, I don't understand the F-35 fighter thing.
Mm.
They keep saying they have to do it or they can't do something else. I don't get it. We've looked into it, Diane, haven't we?
Yeah, they have.
We've really tried to get to because we're desperate to do a post explaining it,
Yep.
but we can't do that because we don't get it.
No.
So that's not coming. Um, they will say that. Oh, and more army, I suppose that could be seen as
Mm.
shifting right. Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't have got us buying aeroplanes to
That can
take
do
nuclear bombs.
nuclear. Yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
not. That would be not his thing.
um, that would be not his
Not
thing.
his thing.
Um, so so it's a mix, right? Any government in 2025
Yeah.
is a mix of lots of different things. Some of the things are because what they talk about of 14 years conservative mismanagement, they need to get things right. They need to sort things out.
Yeah.
Some of it, like they're closing migrant hotels, and the way they're doing that is by building their own hotels.
Yeah.
Although they're not called hotels, they're multiple occupancy houses. So it'll be like a hotel, but without the word hotel on top of it. And
Mm.
then they will have reached their target of stopping using hotels. I
Yeah.
suppose you're not using private hotels, which might save some money, but Serco or whoever will provide the service, which is private company.
Mm.
Um, and Keir Starmer's certainly shifted possibly to the right from the pledges he made to become Labour leader. But the reality is, this really different job
Yeah. Once you're
to
in.
be once you're in,
Yeah.
once you see the books for real, and that's what he'd say. He'd say we've inherited not just no money
Mm.
and this 22 billion pound black hole, which isn't true, but he goes to that 22 billion black hole number, and he says that everything's in a mess. They've messed up every department. So he needs money and time and reform. And in order to do that, he's doing things he hadn't wanted to do.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. While we're on that 22 million pound black hole,
Hmm.
it leads perfectly onto this third question, which is about the finances. So Gabby Gryffindor asks, why do we need to pay off the debt? When Rachel Reeves stands up and talks about the debt,
Hmm.
who do we owe this debt to? And what's wrong with just having it?
100 billion pounds a year is what's wrong with having it.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's really expensive thing to have,
Mm,
and it's like when when you take your car to be serviced,
Hmm.
and they take your car in and they do it for a day. I don't know what they do to it. And then they hand it back and they'll say, that'll be £300, please. And you go, what? And you don't get anything for your £300. You don't get anything at all. You haven't been shopping. You don't come home with anything. You just get a car. You took your car in. You get your car back, but you owe them money. And that's the thing with £100 billion, right? Apart from the NHS, which is like 192 billion,
Mm.
the second biggest thing we spend money on is interest on our
On our
debts.
debts.
Right? So
Yeah.
way more than schools, way more than, literally anything apart from health.
Mm.
So the question, who do we owe it to, is more complex. In general, we owe it to us, right? In fact, I own a government bond. So in fact, they owe it to me. Trust me, I'm not taking all 100 billion from them every year. So the government issues bonds and people buy them. They're like any shares, okay? And the government, and you can buy them over a 5-year bond or a 10-year bond or a 20-year bond, and that means that at the end of 20 years, they will pay you back, and there will be some interest every year along the way, as a little perk of having it. And the bonds go up and down in value because of how confident people are the country's going to be okay.
Mm.
But a government bond is the very, very, very safest way to save money, because governments do not pay their debts.
Yeah.
They absolutely have to pay their debts. So the reason I've got bonds is because I've got them for my children. Well, I put a little bit of money in for my children when they were born because it's safe. The children are not going to reach 18 and go, oh no, it's all gone because of whatever. So you can buy government bonds, and we sell them, and anyone can buy them.
Mm.
Absolutely anyone. They can be bought internationally, can't they,
Oh,
Diane?
I don't know about that, but probably. I can't see why not. Yeah.
And pension funds buy them
Buy them.
because of their certainty.
Yeah.
So pension funds will have these really safe ones, and then a bit that was a bit more risky, and then a bit that's really quite risky, and they try and hope that it all adds up to being what it needs to add up when it comes. It is really, really complicated. But the more uncertain the world is, the more expensive it is to borrow.
Yeah.
Because you have to offer bigger exchange rates and all of this stuff, and so bigger interest rates, and so it's difficult because when you need to borrow more tends to be when the
When
world
it's
is
expensive.
uncertain.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely.
Uh, but the only problem with borrowing stuff is you have to pay it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Bro, good answer. Okay. We're going to move on to the main section, and we've called this week's Whip Watch, which
Ooh.
I know, get a
Oh, Diane.
little bit risque, but yeah, I
Woo-hoo!
know. Let me clear up what I mean by whip. Okay, so these are special people in their party, the whips. Okay, and you have a handful of them in every party, and they basically do a lot of schmoozing, and they try and get people to vote with the party, or they tell people they have to. It's like, yeah, sometimes it's just an absolute doof. We've got to do this. So that's what they do, and because of the rebellion, right? The whips are kind of coming into their own this week, or they'll have been very busy at least.
I mean, they're so busy. I mean, the term whip comes from fox hunting, when the whips, are in charge of the hounds, and they boss the hounds around literally by not they don't whip the hounds. They make noises, crack the whip
Ah.
around them, and with those sounds, they herd the hounds in towards like the fox or whatever it is they're doing. And they are quite tough.
Mm.
Um, they can be nice. They can be nice. They can reward you. Every election, everyone's given new offices, and it's the whips who decide who gets what offices.
Oh,
So
nice.
if you're very naughty, your office can be really far away in a grotty part of Westminster. And trust me, there are some grotty parts of Westminster. Like where I used to be in the education service, we were surrounded by naughty MPs because we were in the worst part, and so it's all the naughty MPs were by us. But also they can put you forward to be on committees and do various things, and they can really help you out. You know,
Mm.
that's nice, aren't they? Nice people.
Well, but you need to be loyal, right? That's the thing. You need to be super
Yeah, to
loyal.
get those nice things,
Yeah.
you need to be super loyal. And some MPs who have been MPs for 10, 15 years
Yeah.
will never have voted against the whip.
Mm.
They will always vote the way their party, and they've all got whips. Conservative Party have whips, and
Mhm.
Labour Party. I mean, Lee Anderson is, I think, the Reform
Reform.
chief whip,
Yeah.
which is possibly the easiest job in Westminster.
Yeah.
um, Especially because if you don't do what he says, like Farage will just kick you out like that, like bang. Doesn't It's easy. So there are also more coercive techniques that they use. Um, for example, I mean, they do occasionally get into. You hear about them using blackmail kind of things,
Wow.
like, oh, your constituency is. I read here that your constituency is due to get £2 million for a sports centre. I
Ooh.
wouldn't imagine that would happen if the party were cross with you. With that kind of
Ah.
thing, and like it's just the whips doing everything they can.
Mhm.
So ultimately, even up to the time of the vote. Now, I think we've said this on the show before, but the way you vote in Parliament is you walk through a corridor, right?
Mhm.
You walk through the I lobby, they call it the I lobby, the I corridor, or the no lobby, the no corridor. And if you want to vote against your whip, there will be a whip literally standing in the middle of the doorway for you to go through the wrong, for if you're the government to go through the no
They're kind
lobby,
of like half blocking it.
half blocking it.
Right, okay.
So you have to.
Like
There's no getting around. I'm saying there's no getting around it.
mhm.
You literally have to get round them to cast your vote,
Wow.
and they don't have to be physically intimidating.
No. No.
It's not that. It's
It's
just
just
you've got to be mighty certain that
mhm.
you are doing what you want to do.
Mm.
So there is lots of nice things going on, and I mean at the moment we're talking about this because of the universal credit bill. There will be saying, what compromises can we offer you?
Yes.
What can we do? We want you to vote for this because you want to vote for it. We don't want you. That no one likes those scenes where the whip is standing in the way. The corridors are quite big. The doors, there's double doors to go into these lobbies, so there's plenty of space around them.
Mm.
It's not like miners blocking the door to the mine. Like there is space, and all parties do this.
Mhm.
All parties, except for Reform, because their whip. No one's ever going to vote. There's only 4 or 5 of them. Whatever.
Yeah.
Unless there was a vote on like whatever. Let's scrap that analogy. Um, it is the work wants to be done before the vote,
Mhm.
but fundamentally, it comes down to party discipline.
Mm.
A party can only survive as a party if they are together on things. If they support their manifesto. You can't have a manifesto promise that people then vote against. Or else what kind of party even are you? How can anyone ever vote for you again
Mm.
if you have won an election and then the MPs who you voted for to do that
Mm.
then do something else? I mean, I my area, my constituency, voted for a Labour MP in Rosie Duffield. And literally weeks afterwards, she went, "Oh, I'm going to be an independent." Oh, but didn't we vote? Anyway, party discipline, it genuinely really matters.
Mm.
It genuinely does. And so, yes, some of the things the whips do don't feel lovely. And Machiavelli wrote that you can win by being scared, by scaring people. You win by
Yeah.
being feared, and you can win by being loved.
Mm.
Those are the only two ways you win.
Mm.
And so the whips try and do both.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, ultimately, the ultimate punishment is to kick someone out the party. Say you're no longer a Labour MP. You are an independent MP, like John McDonnell is, like Jeremy Corbyn is, like Zara Sultana is, like Rosie Duffield is, although she left of her own accord rather than, although maybe she was slightly pushed. Anyway, no longer being a Labour MP or a Conservative MP, because we're only talking about this because this is a government problem right now.
Yes.
But Liberal Democrats have struggled with this, like the Conservatives struggle with this. All the main parties struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it will be on Tuesday where we find out whether those rebel, as we call them, Labour MPs have been convinced enough by either Keir Starmer or the whips, or whether they do.
Pat McFadden's job is to do that right now.
Okay.
He's the one. He's the one trying to persuade everyone.
And have you decided which way you think it's going to go? Whether you think the bill will be pulled, the bill will be changed, or it will be voted down?
I think that there are not enough changes that can be made to bring people in unless they completely scrap the PIP reform altogether, which is a cornerstone of this bill. So it either gets pulled or it doesn't. I think the government are all busy saying,
it either gets.
"Hey! The government are busy saying, give me time. I'm thinking this. You're hearing real time thoughts from me right now. The government is saying it's definitely going ahead. The vote's definitely going ahead on Tuesday, but they have to say that whether it's going ahead or not, because they can't say now, oh, it probably won't go ahead, or it might not go ahead, because then they look weak. The government, this is all an operation in saving face, right? Things have gone very, very badly for the government on this
bill.
What are they on this bill? What are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
Do they suffer the loss? Or do they pull it? I think they pull it because why suffer the loss? If you know the numbers are massively stacked against you, why would you have an official L in your win column, right? Like, and yes, it will be painful to pull it back. And of course, the other reason to pull it back is that if it loses, it's much harder to reintroduce. If they pull it back, work out a new plan and bring it in on November, then they can say, we've listened. We're a party that listens to the people and to the MPs, and we care about you.
You're writing the speech already.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that we're definitely going to lose.
Yeah.
And no one likes us.
Brilliant. Okay, that was a really interesting look into whips and what they do in parties. Let's move on to the crystal ball. What is happening next week? Apart from it being July, which is incredible. And apart from you being married.
Like, how is it apart from me being married? I'm getting married.
Yes.
I mean, heartbreak across the country as Katie Braid is taken off the market forever. Sad times.
Right, okay. I literally thought you were going to say heartbreak across the country as Katie puts a ring on my finger. I thought you were going to go that way.
No. I've been considering which joke is funnier for quite a long time now.
Okay.
And I've landed on this funnier if I say Katie. And she's, yeah, she's brilliant. Like, I just like the
Oh,
script says something about Keir Starmer, and that's great.
yeah.
But on Saturday at 11:45, I'm marrying the love of my life,
Oh,
and so yeah, I mean, sod Starmer, really.
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Not marrying him, not marrying Keir Starmer.
Well, I will do that is beautiful, a beautiful note to end on. I will do your bit that you haven't done, which is just
You're not doing my bit on Saturday. I'm doing that. You're not coming to me and marrying Katie. You already married bigamy.
Keir Starmer, though, has got a big event as
He's
well.
not doing it either.
Well, he's gonna get some kind of cake next week too, because he will have been PM for a year. Can you believe it? A whole year.
It feels like more than a year.
It does in many ways. It does. Yeah. But yes, so all of the general election vibes happened, yeah, 12 months ago
Mm,
next week.
very long time, yeah.
Very long time. So, expect tons of stuff on that.
What's the actual date? Do you know?
We went to the polls on the 3rd, didn't we, of July?
On the 3rd, so he won on the 4th. He won, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, back end of next week, look out for loads of that. You'll probably get sick of Starmer headlines by the end of next week. And
I'm already sick of Starmer headlines.
and one final other little bit, we will be doing quite a lot on the Greens because they are going into a leadership campaign over the summer. So we'll bring you something on that. And Tatton's wedding. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really funky one because we'll just get registry office back here, bite to eat at a local restaurant. Perfect, all the chills. So you won't get like the special podcast we'll put out on Sunday will probably only be 3 or 4 hours of me
Mhm.
talking about the wedding. So
Yeah.
look out for that wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay.
www.patreon.com/ Tatton's getting married. Woo. Is the URL you need.
Excellent. Look forward to it. Well, congratulations, Tatton. We will see you
Thank
next
you.
week and find out how it all went. And thank you for listening. If you got to the end, and we'll do
Oh my gosh, if you got to the end, I do apologize.
it.
By this stage, I've just lost it really. So yeah, apologies. I'd like to apologize to Diane, who's doing the podcast with me, of course, and Lottie, who will be editing it, and most of all, I'd like to apologize to you, the listener. Sorry.
Bye, listeners. Bye bye.
Bye 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 bye.